Thanks, Rachel. Kia ora koutou. I am Michelle. I'm the product manager for accounting here at Cin7. Just a quick bit of background before I dive into the fun side that is accounting. I worked as an accountant the majority of my career. I moved to Cin7 October last year, just as a drive from Cin7 to understand what accountants want and need from the product and have it performing a little better to what you all require. So I've probably worked in a similar position to most of the people on this call, so hopefully I can relate and I'm somewhat relatable. So I'll just dive in. I've tried to keep the content fairly brief because I presume that most of you know how the product works and the little nuances. I've tried to cover a few things, hopefully to make your lives a little bit easier, and then I'll try and leave as much time for questions as I can. So I'll go over quickly what we've released in the last 12 months and what's on the horizon over the next couple of months, some tips for navigating the accounting side of Cin7, and then, as I said, everyone's questions. So I'll start with QBO. There was a lot of work done prior to me starting on tidying up the tax side of things. So making the user experience for accountants and users needing to account for sales tax in the US a little bit easier. So as I'm sure you're all aware, I'll try and brush over this quickly. We now have the ability to upload e-commerce taxes directly into a liability account to ensure that your accounts reflect the way your business is operating. We now pull tax rates from QBO based on the location of the customer. And we also, on the retail side of things, now manage deposits for both sales and purchase orders. So just a few notable things that we've introduced into the QBO connection to try and make your lives a little bit easier. On the Xero side of things, we introduced the ability to filter sales and purchase orders and adjustments based on branches within the Xero dashboard. And the main focus has just been security updates to keep in line with Xero's requirements to ensure that your connections are reliable and safe. More on to what I've been doing since I've started. So our main focus was, let's just take a step back, look at what we're doing and make sure we have the ability to do it well. So we've started, I'm sure you've all had the email, we've released an academy program with the first focus being on accountants and finance users within Cin7. I've personally done all the courses and thought they were really valuable. So hopefully you've all had a chance to dive into those. There was a lot of time spent into making sure they were relevant and useful, and will hopefully provide everyone with an opportunity to save time on training staff because you can just sit them down on Academy. That's actually how I did a lot of my training, and I can highly recommend it. We've been focusing on the development side of things around consistency of information, just reducing rounding errors between Cin7 and your accounting system. That's with both QBO, Xero, and QBE, and reducing bugs that are producing error messages. So hopefully you've all noticed over the last 3 or 4 months, your integration between Cin7 and Xero or QBO should be causing you a few less headaches. And we've also been working on trying to save accountants time. So you'll have noticed that for payments applied in your accounting system in QBO and Xero are now pulling back into Cin7 with the payment amount and date. So hopefully saving you some time on doubling up on entries. Coming up in Q2, so this is what I'm working towards at the moment, and something that I'm quite excited about, and so is Danny, the founder. He's really working together with me to get this sorted. So within the accounting dashboard, we're looking at introducing a stock on hand reconciliation to help the process of reconciling Cin7 with your Xero or QBO. So we're hoping to release the first part of that in the next month or so. It'll be a guide over the best practice of steps to take to reconcile the two systems, with then a more detailed reconciliation tool to follow after that. We're also currently working on the ability to assign classes within alternative GL accounts for QBO users. This just ties in because we're able to track categories within Xero in the same way. So we're just making sure that our connections are consistent for all users. And then we're also giving a little bit of love to the QBE users, better support for the landed costs within QBE. And we've also been making sure that a few long-standing bugs have been resolved recently. So just making sure that everyone is hopefully happy. So what I did in preparation to this is I went over all of the tickets that the partners have been lodging down the accounting lane. So there were a few real standouts, as I'm sure you can imagine. The COGS and stock on hand value is one of the huge ones, and this is why we're working towards that stock on hand reconciliation tab within the accounting dashboard. There was a lot around the general setup and functionality, a lot of queries about how best to set customers up, and we're hoping that the Academy courses for the accounting and finance users will help with that. If you're able to get your customers to complete those courses before they start using Cin7 on a day-to-day basis, then they're going to understand how Cin7 interacts with Xero and QBO, and that will mean that they know what information they want to put into the setup. So hopefully that'll reduce the headaches for you all there. And then the upload and rounding errors that we've been tackling over this last quarter. So we are listening, and we are driving towards resolving all the issues that you've been experiencing. As I've said, worked as an accountant, I understand the frustrations and am working really hard to tackle all of these. I thought I'd just go over a few tips. So I've been involved in helping a few customers reconcile their Cin7 and accounting system, and thought I'd just briefly cover the topics that I've found to be the main causes of discrepancies. So the first one's really interesting. I'm sure you've all seen it, but the no COGS found within the last 12 months filter within the sales order main page is a really valuable way of understanding, especially any huge differences between physical stock and accounting stock. So this shows if stock has been, so if you've processed a sales order, but for whatever reason your COGS on the accounting side of things hasn't been generated, this will pull up the list of all invoices that this relates to. So I'm sure you're all aware of the conditions that must be met for COGS to be generated. Each line item has to be dispatched. There has to be a fully dispatched date. An invoice date has to have been entered, and the import status needs to either be imported or do not import. If those aren't met, your COGS won't have always generated. If you've got a dispatch date in there, but the other conditions aren't met, this will affect your physical stock, but not your accounting stock. So really important to make sure that all of these conditions are being met when you're processing your sales. Another big one is changes being made in one system or the other. I've seen quite often a bookkeeper or an accounts assistant has gone in and changed a bill because there was a slight change in the charge in Xero, but those changes aren't reflected in Cin7. So it's really important if you've got any changes in the bill. I mean, ideally you shouldn't be pushing an invoice to Xero or QBO before you've received the invoice, but if you do, if there are changes, put through a credit note or put through an amended bill just to make sure those changes are being pushed through. Yeah, just little shortcuts that you think that won't make a difference, all of those add up a lot. And then the third one is, as part of your month end, just filter through the likes of the dispatched but not invoiced order status, and vice versa, invoiced but not dispatched. Any discrepancies between those two dates are going to mean that your physical stock and your accounting stock for those months are different. So it's really important. There's obviously going to be valid reasons that there are differences in those dates, but it could be worth, as part of your month-end process, making sure that you identify those differences. So when you're reconciling from month to month, you're able to pull up those differences without getting to the end of the year and realizing that everything's out and making your life a whole lot more difficult. Those are a couple of them. I know there's more, but those have been the main ones that I really see tripping customers over with the discrepancies between both physical stock, their accounting stock in Cin7, and their accounting stock in Xero. And that pretty much covers the brief content that I had. I'll hand over to, I guess, Rachel to start filtering questions through.
Yep. So yeah, if anybody has any questions on the accounting front for Michelle or Caleb, please put them in the Q&A and we will run through them now. Quiet bunch.
Maybe I've been doing my job really well and there are no accounting questions.
That is the goal.
That's a great job, Michelle. I think you explained it pretty well.
Thanks.
All right. Are there any plans to fully integrate with QuickBooks Desktop?
So we do integrate with QuickBooks Enterprise and QuickBooks Desktop at the moment. The dashboard is a lot different. It's probably more comparable to version 1, but that's because we have to process things through the web connector of QuickBooks. But we do have that capacity at the moment. I'm happy. I'm not sure if Rachel will be able to distribute my email, and I could do a quick demo over with you on the QuickBooks.
Yeah, I'm happy to arrange that for Lance and you. I can connect you guys after this. I have a second question here now. Now that billing information is coming back through from Xero, can this be linked to credit limits in the Cin7 CRM to alert if there are customers over credit limits?
It's definitely something that's in our list of what we'd like to do. It's not the highest priority at the moment because we try not to market ourselves as a accounting software. So obviously we're not designed necessarily for handling the full accounts receivable process, but I do understand the value in having your salespeople be able to see whether a customer is over their credit limit. I believe that you can see it within CRM, but yeah, I think having the ability to produce alerts if they're entering a sales order that puts them over their limit is a valuable tool. So I'll definitely look into that for you, Simon.
Awesome. And then from Joy, is the payment sync from Xero automatic?
Yes, it is.
Great. Follow-up from Lance here. Last I checked, the integration for QuickBooks Desktop is with a few parts that connect to a couple of accounts, not with the chart of accounts.
So we upload all of the transactions the same we do to Xero or QBO. It's just the way it uploads is slightly different. You have to go through the QBE desktop and the web connector rather than just a single click transaction. But we do upload the likes of sales orders, credit notes, purchase orders, adjustments, and COGS journals, as well as CRM.
All right, and another note in the Q&A from Paul also would like to go over the QBE training with Michelle, so I will make sure we all get connected for follow-up sessions on that.
Okay, sounds great. Yeah, we can do a little deep dive into QuickBooks Enterprise and Desktop.
Hadn't heard of the Academy. Where do I find more information? Joy, I will take that one. I can send you the information on Academy and the logins for that. Any other questions from the group? I think that might be all the questions. So if that is the case, if we don't have any more rolling in the next minute, we'll give you guys about 15 minutes back. And, you know, again, thank you guys for joining us for Summit. It's been a great 2 days with everyone. Really appreciate all of the feedback, the interactions, the questions, and just really happy to be working with you all now. So thank you so much. And on that note, I guess we will go ahead and wrap up. And again, as a reminder, we will put these recordings from these training sessions in the partner portal as well.
Yep. So please do register for the portal if you haven't done so. If you need any help with that, just let us know. Me or Rachel will more than happy to help out with that.
Perfect.
All right.
And I'll just jump in and quickly say, for any partners that want to jump on a quick call with me, or if you're based in Auckland, if you want to go out for coffee, I'm more than happy to meet up with anyone or chat with anyone and just get your ideas on where you think where you see the product going. Here to listen. So reach out. If you've got Rachel's details, I'm sure she can pass on my email and organize anything. Want to keep the communication open and make sure that we're listening to all of your great ideas.
Thank you so much for that, Michelle. Really appreciate that offer.
All right. Well,
awesome.
That is a wrap. Thank you all so much for attending the summit. We will see you next time.
Thank you.